Your job is to represent the public, the people who elect you. Start doing your job. If you don't like it, clear off. Simple as that. I'd like to actually ask the members of Parliament that are present on the panel what part of democracy they don't actually understand. Parliament had a ballot, did it not, in order to have the referendum. They voted 6-1 to have the ballot. You took that ballot, you took the chance, we had the referendum, you didn't get the answer that you wanted, and now you want to turn it round. I didn't vote for the last.
The room was packed. The live BBC debate was getting more intense with every passing minute. Angela Rayner sat at the centre of the panel, carrying herself with the kind of confidence that showed she was fully ready to defend Labour's decisions in front of the public. But then, one question changed everything. A man stood up from the audience. He wasn't angry. He didn't shout. He spoke with a calm voice, but one that didn't waver. He asked, "Do you people genuinely not understand what democracy is?" In that moment, the whole atmosphere shifted. This wasn't just another critical opinion. It was a direct challenge, sharp and undeniable. And that hit clearly left Rayner looking shaken. Just like British politics always delivers surprises like this one. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to Dark British. Believe it or not, over 98% of viewers watch our content without hitting the follow button. Subscribing is completely free, and it's the best way to support our mission of delivering thoughtful, timely, and in-depth political analysis.
Can I have a ballot?
Can I answer your question? I mean, what I was saying, and my clarity is that I'm not saying, and I'm not suggesting we ignore the vote. The vote is quite clear. But as a Member of Parliament, I have a responsibility for British jobs, British workers,
you have a representation.
You support that. So you need clarity that we're going to safeguard that.
No. All right.
Sorry, your job is to represent the public, the people who elect you. Start doing your job. If you don't like it, clear off. Simple as that.
In that moment, the entire room fell silent. Then, suddenly, the atmosphere exploded. Applause broke out across the hall. People nodded strongly, and a few even cheered out loud. It wasn't just about the question that had been asked. It was about the growing frustration in the air. The voice of thousands of voters who felt left behind. That man had said what many had been holding in for a long time. Angela Rayner looked clearly tense. She tried to hide it with a tight smile, shifting slightly in her seat. But that small reaction cost her. Instead of answering the question directly, she chose to avoid it, to push the conversation in another direction. It was a well-known move, often used by politicians. But this time, it didn't work. The damage was already done. The audience could see it plainly. This was a moment where a politician struggled to defend a system she had often praised. And in that instant, the power slipped from her hands. It belonged to the people now. Angela Rayner often speaks proudly of her working-class background. It's a key part of the image she's built. The grounded woman. The honest voice of the Labour Party. But when she was asked to clearly define who those people were, she had no answer.
Because one of the things people say is I'm not your average politician. I don't talk like other politicians. I don't act like them. And it's like, I'm a human being. And the more we can show that we're human beings as politicians as well, I think will be helpful for people to relate to us. So I think by sharing who I am gives people a little bit of me, and then they understand why I do what I do.
Time and again, during sessions in Parliament, Angela Rayner has been faced with what should be a simple question. How do you define a worker? It's not a complicated query. Yet for Rayner, it has become a clear stumbling block. Instead of giving a straight answer, she dances around the issue, dodging, deflecting, and covering her words in polished phrases. Nothing solid. Just the same old lines about fairness and opportunity. But here's the real issue. The Labour Party claims to speak for the working class. And yet, its deputy leader can't clearly say who that group even is. How are people supposed to trust that Labour truly stands for workers? It's not just awkward. It's revealing. The public isn't so easy to fool. They are the ones dealing with rising prices, unstable jobs, and a tax burden that hits working families the hardest. They don't need a definition. They live it, every single day. As for Rayner, she speaks well, but there's little sign she truly gets it. And that's the deeper problem. It's not just that she avoided the question. It's that she never had an answer in the first place. And when a politician, who claims to stand for everyday people, can't even say who those people are, that says everything.
Deputy Prime Minister's definition of working people.
The definition of working people are the people that the Tory party have failed for the last 14 years.
Well, the Deputy Prime Minister stood on a manifesto promising not to raise taxes on working people. It now appears she can't even define who working people are. So I'll give her another go. There are 5 million small business owners in this country. Are they working people?
I don't know how the shadow Deputy Prime Minister can stand there with a straight face when it was the small businesses, the working people of this country that paid the price of them crashing the economy, sending interest rates scoring. I think he needs to learn his own lessons in opposition.
Oliver Downer! Well, I think the whole House will have heard the Deputy Prime Minister disregard 5 million hard-working small business owners.
Angela Rayner often proudly recounts her journey, from a council estate to becoming a single mother at a young age to standing now in the political spotlight as a representative of the working class. It's a story that once inspired many, a powerful testament to perseverance, grit, and authenticity. But the question now is, does that image still reflect the woman she has become? The cracks began to show when people looked more closely at the policies Labour now champions under her watch. Though Rayner continues to speak passionately about supporting struggling families, many of those very policies seem to burden them further. Higher taxes, rising living costs, and major decisions made in offices far removed from the daily realities of ordinary Britons. Many now believe Rayner has become part of the very Westminster bubble she once vowed to break. She promised to be a voice for workers. Yet those same workers now feel she's lost touch. When pressed on specifics, she often appears uneasy. And voters who once believed in her are beginning to question their faith. For countless working-class people, they no longer see themselves reflected in today's Labour Party. The promises may sound good, but they come from people living lives far removed from their own. People who claim to understand, yet have experienced none of it. Rayner's personal story remains compelling. But beyond the walls of Parliament, in the real world, where people are struggling day by day, that story is becoming harder to believe.
Dictators cancel elections, not democracy. Dictators. 5.5 million voters in southern England are being denied the right to pass judgment on the performance of their councillors over the last 4 years. Interestingly, in areas where Reform UK are expected to do rather well. In cancelling these elections, Secretary of State, in cancelling them, you've admitted, the Secretary of State has admitted she doesn't know what will replace them. So it seems to me there is a serious risk, as previously mentioned, of not being ready in 12 months' time, in which case, can the Secretary of State be crystal clear what happens? Are they delayed a further year, or will they go ahead in May?
Elections are meant to be the cornerstone of any democracy. At least, that's the ideal. But under Labour's watch, that principle no longer seems to hold. In a move that has sparked outrage across the country, the Labour Party has cancelled elections in key areas, precisely where Reform UK has been gaining ground. The result? Around 5.5 million voters have been stripped of their right to vote. This is not merely an administrative decision. Many see it as a deliberate political manoeuvre. Under Nigel Farage's leadership, Reform UK has been building serious momentum, particularly in Labour's traditional heartlands, where trust in the party is eroding rapidly. But instead of confronting that challenge at the ballot box, Labour appears to be dodging it entirely. No elections mean no ballots. And no ballots mean no opportunity for opposition parties to shift the political landscape. Public anger is mounting. Many see this as a brazen act, a direct blow to democracy itself. Labour, far from acting like a government of the people, is starting to resemble a party afraid to face the very people it claims to represent. Disagreements over policy are expected in any democracy. But denying millions the right to choose their representatives? That's not politics. That's suppression.
Well, Madam Deputy Speaker, I just kindly, when the member talks about dictators, it's Reform leader that hasn't faced and elected to get to his leadership position, but the only one that hasn't. And I say to the honourable member as well, look, we're not cancelling election. I've been really clear on the rationale, which is not unique. It's not something that hasn't been done before. It's for reorganisation. It's for further devolution, so people in that local area will get more powers from this government, which is what we promised through our manifesto, and we will continue to deliver for people.
And what about Angela Rayner? When faced with tough questioning, she resorted to an old, tired tactic, invoking Nigel Farage, branding him as divisive and dangerous. It was a clear attempt at deflection. But this time, no one was buying it. People saw right through the move. The real issue is that Labour is increasingly being perceived as using its power to silence dissenting voices. And that's left millions asking the same uneasy question. Who will be next? Angela Rayner may still look confident in front of a loyal party crowd, but when it comes to facing sharp, unfiltered scrutiny from the media, it's a very different picture. Time and again, she's been publicly grilled to the point of visible discomfort. Instead of offering clarity or conviction, Rayner often falls into contradictions, vagueness, and hollow sound bites. One of the most striking examples came during her interview with the BBC's Laura Kuenssberg. What was expected to be a routine political conversation quickly turned tense. Kuenssberg, never one to let inconsistencies slide, pressed hard on Rayner's shifting positions and policy contradictions, turning the interview into a masterclass in pressure. Rayner, usually quick on her feet, struggled to keep up. She deflected, rambled, and at times contradicted herself outright. It was painful to watch, and for the Labour Party, a damaging blow to the carefully cultivated image they've worked so hard to maintain.
The issue here is some people see a double standard because for several years, the Labour Party very successfully created this story around Tory sleaze and cronies and corruptions. You yourself said, we need to know what these donors were promised or expected in return for their generosity. That was you saying that.
Yeah, and we
government.
saw, and Laura, we saw the VIP fast lanes on taxpayers' money, billions of pounds wasted during the COVID pandemic. These are individual donations. Nobody's been given billions of pounds contracts, millions of pounds contracts as a result. That's the distinction for me, is that people were given jobs in executive roles. People were given, contracts worth billions of pounds when we didn't actually see the benefits of that.
I think
that was the distinction for me. But the transparency, you're absolutely right, and I absolutely believe the public want that in terms of where's money coming from.
Well, lots of our viewers...
Whenever Angela Rayner is faced with real scrutiny, she struggles to hold her ground. She may shout slogans with great passion, but when asked for details, she stumbles, unconvincing, uneasy, and clearly uncomfortable. And now, the public is starting to notice. Even journalists who were once seen as sympathetic are no longer protecting her. This raises a serious question. If she can't handle a tough interview, how can she be trusted to help run the country? With every vague or dodged answer, her image takes another hit. And if this pattern continues, it won't just be her reputation at risk. Labour's credibility could be next. The housing crisis in Britain has gone on for far too long. Families have waited endlessly for social housing. Rents keep rising, and homelessness is increasing at an alarming pace. So when Angela Rayner and the Labour Party announced plans to prioritise social housing for migrants, it triggered real frustration. For years, British citizens, taxpayers, hard-working, law-abiding people have suffered through painfully long waits for a secure home. And now, many of them feel they've been pushed to the back of the line. Labour's new policy seems to favour newcomers, leaving local residents feeling more overlooked and excluded than ever.
Would you reverse the cuts on corporation tax?
I think that the cuts on corporation tax are missing a point because we need that money. We need that money at the moment.
Would you reverse it? Hold on.
Inheritance tax.
Would you reverse them?
I think that at the moment, cutting at a time where we need those services and people need those services is the wrong decision to make.
But I'm asking you, would you reverse the cut in corporation tax?
But I'm telling you, Andrew, that our priority is
you're
not
telling me the question.
I am.
The
I'm
answer.
saying that the cuts in corporation tax, the cuts in inheritance tax, the cuts in capital gains tax.
But what's the cut in capital gains tax?
But what's really important, Andrew...
No, excuse me, I'm asking you a question. What's the cut in the capital gains tax?
They've cut the capital gains tax.
The public isn't just angry. They are outraged. The backlash was swift and fierce, with many calling it a betrayal of Britain's working class, the very people Labour once promised to represent. now feel sidelined all over again. Instead of fixing a broken system, Labour's response has been to abandon British families in favour of promoting morally symbolic policies. Angela Rayner has tried to frame the conversation around fairness, human rights and inclusion, but for many such rhetoric rings hollow. British voters are watching this unfold with their own eyes, and with every unjust policy introduced, trust in Labour erodes further. Housing is not just a technical issue. It is a clear indicator of whom this government truly prioritizes. And under Labour's current leadership, it's evidently not the British people. Angela Rayner was once seen as a champion of the working class, someone who understood the daily struggles of ordinary citizens, but now a series of missteps is rapidly eating away at her credibility, from floundering during live broadcasts, failing to define what it means to be a worker, dodging difficult interviews, and backing divisive policies. The list of blunders continues to grow. Those who once viewed Rayner as a symbol of strength and resilience now see a politician struggling to defend her party's agenda and failing to win back the trust of the people.
You know, thousands of Americans by giving him duff advice, and his macho, I'm all right, you know, look at me, I've survived COVID, is an absolute buffoon. He has no place in the White House, he's an embarrassment, and he should be ashamed of himself, especially when thousands of Americans have died.
And this story isn't just about Angela Rayner, it's a reflection of the Labour Party as a whole. The way the party has responded to rising voter frustration, the cost of living crisis, and the worsening housing shortage is only deepening the cracks within its traditional support base. Many working-class people, those who once looked to Labour as their voice, now feel let down. The warning signs couldn't be clearer. If the party continues to ignore public concerns, push unpopular policies, and dismiss grassroots voices, the consequences won't be limited to headlines or online backlash. It will show up at the ballot box. Angela Rayner's political future is hanging by a thread, and Labour's stability is on shaky ground. Unless the party makes a serious course correction soon, the next general election could be devastating. And this time, it will be the voters who deliver the final verdict. Rayner is rapidly losing public trust, from weak public appearances to backing policies seen as out of touch with everyday life. At the same time, Labour is steadily losing its grip on public opinion. The anger is growing. What do you think? Has Angela Rayner reached the end of the road? Share your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for the latest updates.